Today, we're going to talk about the best foods for the pancreas to help improve insulin resistance. We sometimes forget that at the root of insulin resistance, we have the pancreas, the beta cells, the cells within our pancreas that produce insulin. They become damaged, they become fatigued, they become smaller. They do a worse job of producing insulin, but we can do things to help support the pancreas and help prevent some of this insulin resistance from happening in the first place by taking care of this organ. So let's jump right in. Now, after today's video, I did pop a link for our sponsor, Organifi. If you're trying to get more fruits and vegetables in, but you just don't have A, the time, B, the hunger, or C, just the energy to really consume a bunch of fruits and veggies, Organifi has a cool red juice. It has 12 different fruits in it, so it's really powerful when it comes down to the effects as far as antioxidants are concerned, as far as just getting the benefit of fruit without all the sugar and in a convenient fashion. So I popped that link down below. That'll save you 20% off. So you want to use the code THOMAS2023. Again, code THOMAS2023 is going to save you 20% off whatever you want to get through Organifi, whether it's going to be their red juice or their awesome green juice if you have a hard time getting veggies in. So it's really a game changer. It's the one that I would recommend the most when people ask me, what do I have when I'm in a pinch and I want to get those antioxidants, I want to get those nutrients in. It really is a good product, and I've known Drew for a long time, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to put him on my channel, because he's a cool guy. That link is down below the video in the description. The first food that we have to talk about isn't really a food at all. It's a vitamin, vitamin D3. So if you want to take a shortcut and you want to just use a vitamin D supplement, yeah, vitamin D is going to help out the pancreatic beta cells. It helps stimulate them to produce insulin better. So we do actually get a positive effect there. But what about the foods that are rich in vitamin D here? Well, what I would recommend for this category is going to be either eggs, sardines, or mackerel. High vitamin D content in these foods, but they have another thing that's great, especially the fish options. They have omega-3s, which also help the pancreatic beta cells. So you get a double whammy. So eating fish that is high in vitamin D and high in omega-3 is a double whammy effect on your pancreas. So 2 times per week, if possible, have fatty fish. It doesn't mean you have to have salmon for dinner 2 times per week, but you could have salmon for dinner 1 time per week, and maybe a can of sardines or something for lunch or with lunch later in the week. It doesn't need to be that difficult to have a preventative and proactive effect on your pancreatic beta cells. The next category of foods have something called genisteins in them. Now, genisteins or genisteins, potato, these are compounds that help increase pancreatic beta cell mass. So they can help the pancreatic beta cell literally become stronger and bigger so it can produce insulin better. One of the problems that happens with insulin resistance is as our glucose is circulating at a high level, like we have chronically high glucose, eventually these pancreatic beta cells cannot keep up. Because what happens is, because glucose is so high, the pancreas doesn't know what's going on, so it just produces more and more insulin to try to deal with the glucose that's being high, until finally, they burn out, right? These pancreatic beta cells are just like, I can't give any more, man. Like, this glucose is just, what am I supposed to do here? So these poor cells are struggling. And if we can increase pancreatic beta cell mass and density, we can make more of these, more pancreatic beta cells, and they can produce more insulin to keep up with this while we do other lifestyle things to control our insulin resistance. So when it comes to these genisteins, the most high concentrations you're going to find are in like alfalfa sprouts and clover sprouts, which I know are not like the most popular things to consume, and they're a little bit kind of out there. But if you put a little bit on your food, maybe you cook that salmon we talk about and you put a nice handful of clover sprouts or alfalfa sprouts on it, very, very rich in this compound that's very, very good for the pancreas. Now when we look a little bit more realistic, there was a study published in the journal Clinical Endocrinology that found that broccoli and cauliflower, which are rich in this same genisteins, are going to be really good as well. If you look at those kind of vegetables, those are things you could have a little bit more frequent. Now, one thing that I would recommend is, just due to the quote-unquote anti-nutrient ability of these vegetables, I would recommend cooking them. I don't recommend having them raw, okay? So if you cook them and you sort of blanch them, you should still retain the genistein effect without potential drawbacks as well. Now the next one is more of a protective component. You see, these pancreatic beta cells are exposed to a lot of stress. So when we have stressful situations and we have high glycemic levels, we have high sugar circulating around, this is damaging to these pancreatic beta cells. So we need to have a force field around them a little bit. Turns out, per a study published in the journal Diabetes, quercetin, which is a powerful antioxidant flavonoid, is one of the most powerful compounds for protecting cells like pancreatic beta cells. So in this case, we want to lean into quercetin. Now, quercetin is something you can get in supplement form, okay? I don't recommend always going supplement form when you can go whole food. Things just absorb better when it comes from foods, but you could take something like a dihydroquercetin or a regular quercetin supplement and probably get a powerful effect. But if you're going for the food source, capers are going to be the bee's knees. I know they're not the most appetizing thing. They are to me. I love them. I love the salty capers. I think they're great. But the bottom line is you only need a tablespoon or two, and they're like 10 or 15 times more quercetin in capers than there is in the next food down the line. So there's undeniably no food more rich in quercetin than capers, okay? Now, what does salmon taste really good with? Capers, right? So you're seeing what I'm going with here. Like if you start kind of crafting this Mediterranean lower carb approach, things add up by themselves. Having some sockeye salmon with some capers and some clover sprouts doesn't look weird. That looks good, right? And then you think, oh, wait a minute, like how else can I add these things in? Maybe I'll have a side of broccoli, a side of cauliflower. So that in tandem with being lower carbohydrate and doing these things that you can to improve lifestyle sides of insulin resistance, you can restore that pancreatic function a bit better and take care of that precious organ that needs all the help it can get right now. I'll see you tomorrow.